So, you want to hear about my first car, huh? I actually have two first car stories. My first car I got before I even had my driver's license. It was a blue 1995 Ford Fiesta. If you don't remember those, they were really little cars. My aunt had actually driven it through a ditch and totally demolished it. Her insurance company paid it out and it was trashed. So for 20 bucks she sold it to me. At the time I thought it was a great deal. Little did I realize that basically she was paying me to tow it away. Or I was paying her for the right to tow it away, I guess. Well, my father's a mechanic. He decided to help me work on the car. He came out to her house. We fixed it up a little bit, but not well enough that it was technically street legal. The wheels still looked kind of like this. And that was in Ida. My dad was like, well, drive it back to your grandma's house so we can work on it some more. My grandmother lives in Temperance. It was about a 20-minute drive. And he's just like, I'll follow behind you to make sure nobody bothers you. So I hop in the car. All I have is a learner's permit. My mother gets in the car with me, and from the second we start to move it out of the pasture at this farm in Ida, you just hear creak, creak, creak. And like they're looking at me, and the wheels literally are going like this. They're at a 45-degree angle or so at the car. Flash forward, I get to my grandmother safely. It took about 3 hours because I drove so slow. But we start working on the car a couple weeks later. My dad decides we need to straighten out the axle a little better. He's heating up the wheel well so we can bang it back in. Accidentally catches the entire car computer system on fire. So that car, straight to the junkyard. I got to drive it once and I still didn't even have my license. My first car, we picked up later that week. The day after I went and got my license. Paid $200 for it. It was a 1992 white Ford Escort. Had about 160,000 miles on it at the time, but it ran great. Bought it from a couple that had 3 cars and they were moving. They only had 2 licensed drivers, couldn't take it with them. So I got a great deal on it. Drove it around for a year, never did anything except change the oil. And when I sold it for $50 more than I bought it for. Sold it to a buddy of mine from high school. He painted racing stripes down the side and built a ramp in his backyard. And actually ran it up over this ramp, launched it off into a pool or a pond in his backyard, and as far as I know, it still sits at the bottom of that pond.